Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Dames of Asstoria core rulebook. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop RPG of high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept you, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to continue with the rest of the races of the demifauna, starting with the Harpies. Avian demifauna whose arms grant them the freedom of flight. The Harpies of today are the survivors of the War of Dethronement, a large group of Harpies who wished to stay out of the conflict and isolate themselves to their mountains. However, many of them did provide assistance during the War of Dethronement, especially aerial assistance. During the height of the war, the Harpies who fought for the demifauna found themselves outclassed by the demiplanar. The wings and skills honed and perfected by years of training and practice were quickly outstripped by the magical abilities of flight granted to their enemies. This led to the eventual eradication of the Harpies who took part in the war. The faction of Harpies which pushed for isolation found themselves in a mountain range transformed into a series of small volcanic islands by the destruction of the war, and where one day an injured demiplanar landed. This young demiplanar was tended to and his wounds healed by the Harpies, who knew of and cared little about the war. As thanks, this demiplanar established a barrier of wind around the Harpy Islands, protecting them from intruders. The Harpies of today persist as an isolationist people, remaining in their islands and only venturing out to find mates or seek adventure. Then we have the Lamia. Before the War of Dethronement, those clad in scales were considered middle-tier spellcasters. The Lamia, however, with their lack of legs and snake-like features, were natural explorers of the arcane arts. If one could move at high speeds with no legs, what difficulty was bending reality? The long war had the Lamia crafting garments, weapons, armor, and potions. The wealth of knowledge and resources they had to aid the Alliance was overwhelming. But even their best efforts only served to stalemate an encounter on good days. After the War of Dethronement, the Lamia kingdom joined in the subjugation wars. However, during the end of this war, the Lamia found their alliance with the other demifauna to be less idyllic than proposed during formation. As the subjugation wars came to a close, the Lamia found their cities and research facilities ransacked, raided for magical artifacts and arcane secrets. Much to their surprise, this was not done by humans but by other demifauna. The Lamia of today are regarded as learned and artistic people, with a passion for magic. The majority of them live in the deserts of the Althavan kingdom. Then we have information on the Merfolk. The Merfolk people are a vibrantly diverse group, made up of all aquatic-based demifauna. To outsiders, the term merfolk is no different than the term mermaid. During the war with Sequarius, the combined tribes of the sea fought under the command of King Thalso, a mighty merman skilled in both magic and martial arts. The merfolk participation basically consisted of escorting supplies and troops safely across the sea. This led to some discontent by the others in the Demifauna Alliance, who considered the merfolk cowards for not sending troops to fight. With Sequarius' defeat came events beyond the predictions of King Thalso. The war with the humans he expected, but not that it would rage more than 1 or 2 years as the Demifauna repopulated. What's more is the Mana Blight plague that changed their outlook drastically. The sea was never a safe place. Only cities ward off a nosy predator, and there would always be exceptions. The world was changing rapidly. With the sea tribes in chaos, many didn't make it. Unlike the other demifauna, the merfolk spent the least amount of time fighting the humans during the chaos. Making contact with humans again was tough. Though they didn't fight them, their king played part in the defeat of Sequarius. However, a war between them couldn't and wouldn't be successful for either side. And when the Slime Mimic War started, it wasn't taken seriously. The merfolk thought it was just another surface problem until they were being attacked from all sides. When the mermaid Coralie was knighted a dame, This was a hope that maybe the truce between humans and merfolk would be more favorable. However, it only extended to the mermaids, as she was her people's representative. Many consider the merfolk of today to be partiers, tricksters, drunks, and bard adjacents, due to both the mermaid Dame Coralie and the natural singing gifts of many of the merfolk. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about the cults or religions of the setting. When it comes to the logic of each of these different species, I like how each of them have their own place within the outcome of the wars. In the case of the Harpies, they are survivors of those that did not wish to involve themselves with the conflict. It makes sense. In the case of the Lamia, they participated, but they suffered for it, so there is a certain air of decadence to them. And in the case of the merfolk, they participated, but they were not very well viewed by others because of the exclusive participation on the war by the part of Coralie. Only those that she represented benefited from her participation. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.